Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop.
In this week's show, John's going to give us his opinion on the best food to feed your cat, and also some of the things that maybe you shouldn't feed them. What are the pros and cons of wet and dry cat food?
Well, dry food, the problem with dry food is that it's extruded through a machine. And plus they have to heat and process it. I don't know what that's doing to some of the minerals. They put some of the vitamins back in, but how effective that is, I don't know. To be able to get it into those little shapes, they have to put plant protein in to do it, which means less animal protein. So what I don't like about that is the nutrients of dry food aren't fully available. The wet food I like because it's more animal protein, especially a good quality one.
Right.
Cats are programmed to digest animal protein. They have a hard time digesting plant protein. In the wild, they would get a little plant protein in the intestines of their prey, but it wouldn't be very much, so it wouldn't be too much on the system. Carl gets a variation of different top quality canned foods. So he gets an evening feeding and a morning feeding. Right. And along with the morning feeding, I've got this little plastic mouse I pour a bit of dry food in. Now, I'm using high meat dry food. It's very expensive. It's not very much, but it does make him work for the food, which makes the food more valuable. So I don't mind giving him this dry food, and I do that when I'm leaving too, and it gives him something to do.
So just to distract him?
Yeah, it keeps him busy, that way he's not thinking about where I've gone to.
Right.
But I just like him, I like them to earn their food to some degree.
Changing foods is a little bit more difficult with cats and dogs too than it is with people. One you have to take into consideration is the cat's stomach. If you all of a sudden change foods, even if they aren't suspicious of it, they decide they like it and they eat it, it could cause an upset in their stomach because they're not used to eating that. And getting a cat to change foods a lot of the time, it can be difficult because they get really fixated. The best way to handle that is when they're kittens, very young, is expose them to a lot of different flavors of food, a lot of protein sources like beef, chicken, goat, and then you expose them to different types of canned food, like the ones with the gravy, the pâtés, and probably some dry food too. That way they get used to it and it's not considered a foreign food. But if you don't have that and you're trying to switch them onto a food, say that your veterinarian wants them on or what have you, what you do is you take their present food and you take a little bit out. So you would give, say, 7/8 of the can, and then you put in 1/8 of the new food. Mix it up really, really well. Let them eat it. And then the next day you put in a little bit more of the new food, a little bit less of the old. You just little micro bits. You want to fake them into it so they don't realize it's being changed over. It should take a couple of weeks to change a cat's food.
Can you do that with kibble?
Yes, you can. It gets more difficult to do with kibble because there is a visual component if you're going to very small or very large. It's it's hard and it has a certain size. If the new kibble's bigger than the old or vice versa, you can break that down. And again, you just 7/8 of say a cup or whatever they're getting in a day of the old, and add a bit of new. Mix it really well so the flavors get interspersed. And the next day, a little less of the old, a little bit more of the new. If you find that they've all of a sudden stopped eating, that means that you've put too much new in that particular day. So you go back to when it was successful and try again, adding even smaller amounts. Pretty soon they don't realize it's being changed over, and then pretty soon you're almost fully at the place where they're on their new food entirely.
And what about milk?
Milk? No milk. It's not good for them. It can cause stomach upsets and therefore smelly stool.
Can you feed your cat fish?
Well, fish is not a natural food for cats. Cats are desert animals. Too much fish is not a good thing for cats. On occasion, it's fine. I don't like feeding tuna because tuna can be very taste addictive, and if they eat nothing but tuna, they can get kidney problems.
up in next week's show, we're going to give you some tips on how to keep your cat off the kitchen counter.
Like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell. Don't miss an episode of BobCat's Playground. Help us change the world, one cat at a time.
In next week. Okay, Daffy Duck.
Here comes the final laugh for both of us. BobCat's Playground, produced by Edit Extreme. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not intended to replace professional advice. Find out more at editextreme.com.